Hello everyone, welcome. Crash here. This is RTA Motorsports, and just like I promised you, we're going to go over the Thrustmaster T-Flight HOTAS X. Just kidding. We're going to go over the Razer OSVR. You knew it, didn't you? Didn't you?
Didn't you?
Welcome to RTA Motorsports.
Alright, welcome back. So the Razer OSVR. This is going to be a series of videos. Basically each video I'm going to focus on one title because this could be a very long topic. And I kind of want to be in detailed on how I'm getting it working for each title. Because there seems to be different methods for every title to kind of get it working somewhat usable. Now again, there's no native software for the Razer OSVR. You don't have there's some basic software there, some basic scripts that you can make it work with Steam VR. For the most part, the motion still doesn't work. So, but there's no like standalone software like that Oculus has or anything like that. And I figured, being that the Oculus came out at the price point that it did, and the HTC Vive is projected to be more expensive, there's a lot of interest now going towards this, and us in the sim racing community don't really get to have a lot of information tailored towards us. So I want to kind of do an in-depth tour of this one title at a time. And the first one, this episode is going to be Dirt Rally. So we're going to kind of go into how I actually got this working with Dirt Rally and what you could expect basically from the experiences at this very moment. Now, just to let you know, this is not how it's going to be forever. Companies like Vireo, well, not Vireo, Perception, they have been talking about possibly supporting it directly like they did with the Oculus, but mainly Vortex. Vortex is a paid software. It's like 39 bucks. Basically, that was how a lot of Oculus owners were playing titles like iRacing, or jumping in many games that don't support side-by-side 3D or any sort of 3D support, and it has the lens distortions and everything all built in, so it made it pretty much almost a plug-and-play experience for a lot of titles. They're actually a partner for the Razer OSVR, and they're going to be soon coming out with, hopefully soon, I hope soon, coming out with software for the Razer OSVR. I did email them, and I did get a reply back that they are currently working on the software update, but they don't have a projected date as to when it should come out. So if you do own a Razer OSVR and you do want more of a plug-and-play experience, shoot them a message, show some interest, and maybe that will kind of press them and push them forward to actually releasing software if they actually see that there's going to be a need. So, but anyway, yeah, let's jump right into Dirt Rally. I'm going to show you how I got it working, the tools that I'm using, the software that I'm using, and maybe we'll do some gameplay, and I'll kind of give you some commentary and give you my experiences. Alright everyone, welcome back. So we're going to be on the computer right now, and I'm going to show you essentially the tools and the software you're going to need to get this working, or at least the way I'm doing it, the way I'm getting it working. Now again, I am not doing it necessarily the right way. This is how I'm doing it, that's giving me the best experience for myself. I'm sure there's going to be other variations and other people out there that are getting it working in other different ways. And because the OSVR doesn't have native support with all these games in its own software, we're kind of stuck having a mismatch of programs here to get things to work. So the main program that you're going to need is this here. This is Tridef 3D Ignition, made by Tridef 3D. So you go to tridef3d.com, you purchase the program, costs about 39 bucks. There's a 14-day free trial. I like it because it takes any sort of title that is not supported in 3D and it makes it in side-by-side 3D. It works very well. It has a lot of different tools as far as, depth perception, and you could set the percentage of what counts to be in front and in back. You could really modify your image to look the best excuse me, for your headset and for your eyes and for, you know, what feels good to you. You could even adjust distances between each eye and whatnot. So I really like this program. For 39 bucks, I found a lot of uses for it. So there you go. So you need that TriDef 3D, and that's going to be what's going to take the game image and split it into side by side. If you could find some other way to do it, please post it in the comments below. I'm kind of curious as to what other options there are out there, because I am having some difficulties with this program here and iRacing. It works in the 32-bit iRacing, and that's why this video is not an iRacing video. I'm still trying to work out the kinks with that, but there you go. So first you download that and you install it. Once you install it, just like any other program, you're going to come to this main page here, and you see a few sim racing titles here, a few of the main ones. And in the case of Dirt, what you're going to do is you're going to go to File. We're going to do this as if we have a new game here. We're going to go to File, Add Game. Now it's going to run like a search engine, and basically it's not going to come up with any game. It's kind of cut off the screen here. Let me do that again a little bit lower, see if maybe we could get that in frame. The error you're going to see, because most people don't have their games on the same drive as their boot drive, and this is only going to look in the boot drive. So you got to add games manually. You could do the desktop shortcut or executable, which is pretty neat. If you use Steam, it tells you how to create shortcuts on your desktop here, or you could just browse it manually. So if you're browsing it manually, you go to your drive that has your games. In this case, it's a Steam library. Go to Steam Apps, go to Common, go to Dirt Rally. Scroll down, you'll see the application right down there. You would select that, you would click Open, and then you go to Next. So now you're going to have all these profiles, and these profiles basically tell TriDef essentially how to work with the game. If you choose the wrong profile, and there's tons and tons of profiles in here, basically what's going to happen is it's not going to run. You're going to see 3D disabled. And with Dirt, the issue that I came across was there's Dirt, Dirt 2, and Dirt 3, but no Dirt Rally. So if your game's not in the list, you would hit here. You would go to TriDef's website on their forums and just type in the game. Now, most games that I've ever played, if in the program there was no profile for it, someone has searched it and someone has requested it, they have created it, and you can download it. So you just, in the search box on their forum, type in Dirt Rally, and you're going to immediately get to their profile. You download that to your computer. Once you do that, we're actually going to backtrack here. You're going to go File, Import Files, and you're going to search for that actual file. Once you do that, once you click on it, it's going to say File Imported. Then you go back and you go to search for the game all over again, and you choose that. And that's why you see, like, this one here says iRacing Run with a weird percentage. This one says Assetto Corsa with a weird symbol, and it's pretty much like the same symbol for the most part. The percentage sign 28, and that's how you know those are the profiles that you downloaded off there. So this one here I downloaded and got it to work. And if you open your games through TriDef, which you have to do in order to get the side-by-side 3D working, one thing to note: every time you double click and you go to open a game, it's going to shut down and restart Steam every time, so you have to re-input your passwords to go back in. Well, we're not going to do that yet. I'm going to bring you through the next step. The next step you're going to want to do is, because all these headsets use a lens, and the lens needs, you're going to see that error because I exited out of Steam before it actually loaded up. So TriDef's thinking that the game didn't load properly. So yeah, because you need barrel distortion, what it's called, to kind of really take advantage of this headset. Much like the Oculus DK1 and DK2, the HTC Vive, they all have circular lenses that on the periphery kind of get a little distorted. You have a sweet spot in the middle that's perfect clear vision, and the images need to be distorted in such a way that kind of matches the lenses, so that way you get that real immersive sort of almost like a bowl feeling that you're inside of space. If you don't do it that way and you're just looking at the images, first of all, the side-by-side images would be blown way beyond the size of your optics, so that way you would only be seeing a very small center portion of whatever the image is, and it would be blown up way large, so you wouldn't really get to see much. Number two, it would be kind of apparent that you're looking at a flat image. It would be 3D, but you won't really get that immersive sort of feeling, whereas as if the image is going around your head. And the only other time I've ever had that experience besides this headset is with my projected setup that I did for a little while with sim racing. So, you know, it's pretty neat feeling, and definitely you need that lens distortion also because of just the sheer size of the images that will pop up. So in order to do that, we're going to go to this website here, and it's mtbs3d.com, and specifically I'm going to put this down in the description. You're going to want to go there and specifically to this address because there's a topic here where someone is presenting their Suite FX, and Suite FX is pretty common amongst Oculus DK2 owners because the images that come out are so pixelated because of the pixel density and the screen resolution being 1080p. You can really see those pixels, and in some titles like first-person shooters or even in like sim racing, off in the distance it's very hard to distinguish what the heck you're looking at. Well, Suite FX has a whole bunch of different filters as far as sharpening filters. You have the chromatic aberration filter here. It has a whole bunch of filters that kind of will help you achieve the look that you need and is most comfortable for your eyes. I use a sharpness filter, and it really kind of just makes it feel like you're looking at an image that's of higher resolution than what your screen's actually putting out, which is pretty darn neat. And it kind of blurs the pixels a little bit, so you really don't, you still see the pixels, but as you're playing you're not thinking about the pixels, you kind of look past that. And the vehicles off in the distance and the AI off in the distance, if I'm playing an FPS or whatever, they don't look like 2 or 3 little pixels dancing around. They kind of take more of a shape. So it's pretty neat how it works. It's pretty amazing how it works. But what you want to do once you come to this page is scroll down to about halfway down, and you're going to see this here, this Dropbox. And what this is this person created a reshade program, which is very, very neat. It installs and injects the Suite FX into whatever game you want, and there's also other settings with reshade that you can kind of take advantage of, but you really don't need it if you're just looking for, like I was, just the lens distortion. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on that. We're going to download it. I've actually already got a copy here on my desktop. Let's minimize this, minimize that, and right here. So we got the computer hiccup there for a second. 3D lens for reshade. So we're going to double click on that. We're going to extract it. We're going to extract it to the desktop. Now I did already extract a version of it, so let's just pretend that I did. And this is the folder you would get, 3D lens for reshade again. So we're going to open it up, we're going to take a look. So you see on the inside here, you have all these folders here, 3D lens for reshade, reshade. This is the only one down here you're going to care about, the reshade setup. Double click that, yes, and you just basically go and select your game. It's automatically going to default to auto detect. So from here, we're already back in Dirt Rally. You click on the game's executable, click open. It's going to say auto detection failed. Now, pretty much all my titles have done this so far. So I select Direct 3D 1011, and it says, do you want to overwrite the existing installation? I'm going to say no, because I already have it installed, but from that point it will inject the files that are needed to be in there. So this would be the next step. So now you go to that game folder. So, you know, we have Tri-Def 3D, we have the side-by-side splitter, and now we have the lens distortion files that we need in there and ready to go, but they're not turned on. So we're going to go to Steam Library, Steam Apps, we're going to go back into that game folder, and now you're going to see a few different things here. You're going to see Reshade FX, DXGI, DXGI.dll, and Reshade, this folder here. This is the important one. You're going to double click that. First step you're going to do, you really don't have to do it in this order, but I like to do it in this order. You're going to right click on the SuiteFX settings.config. Go to your notepad. And this is where all your options are. Now it looks kind of confusing at first, but these top ones here are the only ones that matter for the most part in the beginning until you start really tweaking. Now most people only mess with this, and literally it's just 0 or 1, off and on. 1 is on, 0 is off. And these are all your different options you could choose from, and they explain what they do. Now literally all I have on is this Luma Sharpen. And this Luma Sharpen is really popular with the DK2 guys, the Oculus guys, and this is what kind of helps make that image pop and almost makes you forget about the pixels. Now the pixels, both screens, our screen here with the OSVR and the DK2 are both 1080p. The pixels are a lot less noticeable. I even used the PlayStation Morpheus, and this is by far a better screen. They're both the same resolution, but the pixels aren't like the first thing and the only thing I can think about, especially while I'm in gameplay. So this is actually a really good screen, and I'm really surprised by it. They're still there, you could still see them. I read a review that said, you know, oh wow, now you can't see them. That's a lie, you could see them. This Luma Sharpen helps you out. The chromatic aberration over here, I thought that would kind of help with the 3D effect. It actually bugged my eyes out and made it real hard for me to just look anywhere beyond the dash. Everything looked really blurry. I don't suggest that. And then you have a whole bunch of other options here. You could do like monochrome and color matrix and dither and stuff like that. Vibrance, tone map. We're not going to mess with any of that. We're just going to mess with the Luma Sharpen. And then this is the most important thing for the lens distortion. These two options here. Oculus Droid Tri-Def, Oculus Droid Native. Now the creator of this software is aware that there is kind of an issue where if you choose Tri-Def, it's not always going to work. And this is what I mean. I originally selected Tri-Def because I'm using Tri-Def, but then this is what I got. There's actually someone in here that posted the same error as me. Let's see, let's find where it is. Right here. Okay, you can see these images are way off. You got your character way to the left here, your character in the middle here, text going up and to the left here, text going up and to the right. If you look in your goggle system, it's just going to be crosshatched like that, and it's not going to be clear. It's just going to bug you out and kind of make you have a headache and want to scream and jump off the building, which is not a good thing. So that didn't work out, and I was like, oh man, you know, another solution that's not a solution. Great. Well, below there they explain use Oculus Droid Native. Sometimes with certain titles you have to use the Tri-Def, sometimes you have to do the Droid Native. They're literally the same. You have the same options with each, so whatever one you could use, just use it. So I used the Droid Native. Okay, so from here you're going to want to then, once you select what you want turned on, now remember 0's off, 1 is on, you got to save it, right? So For Dirt Rally, we want Droid Native 1, and Luma Sharpen, I recommend it 1. Everything else you could kind of play with and see how you like it. So we're going to save it. Now, I already did save it. I haven't made any changes. For the sake of it, let's put on one more thing so you can see what I am about to tell you. We're going to put on, let's see, let's put on this one. Not 2, 1. There we go. So File, Save. There you go. Now every so often you're going to get an error that's going to say you need admin privileges to save, and then it's going to close and reopen, and you have to click Save again. Just make sure you do that or else nothing's going to save. Alright, so from here we get X out of there. Next place you're going to want to go is to actually adjust the we're going to adjust the lens distortion. So you go SweetFX folder, then you go to Shared Shader, and down to Oculus Droid Native.h. The reason why is because that's what we turned on. If we turned on TriDef, we would go there, but we're not. So right click, Notepad again. Now these are all your settings. It looks kind of confusing, but these are all your settings, and they kind of explain what they do and the default setting. So you can see there's only going to be 2 that are really going to matter to us. Is scale entire lens smaller or larger, and this one right here, warp using standard DK2 distortion parameters. So you can see the default settings here. Now I found these settings by doing a quick search, and one of the developers uses this setting, and he kind of warns you because you're going to lose some of your menus in the games because it kind of cuts it off, but it fills the entire OSVR lens, and it fills it beautifully. So you put the defined scale factor float to 0.12 from a default of 1 to 0.12. Now if you just do one or the other, you're going to get this weird distortion of everything in the game. Things may look really like bubbly and short and squished, or things may look really long and thin. So you know, try to start with these 0.12, and again my resolution is 1920 by 1080. That will affect it as well. And then warp, the only number we changed here was 7, the first one, from a 1 to a 7. Everything else is the same. So then again, after you're done with that, click File, click Save. We're not going to save as, we're just going to save it. And we X that out. So now we're done. That's it. So we're going to X all of this out, and now we're going to start the game, or the sim. Don't hate me. So you double click, again it's going to shut Steam off, turn it back on. And from there, it's going to just launch the game. One important thing that I really need to say is that every time I have noticed that I've loaded Dirt Rally, it always loads up in a windowed screen. That's kind of just something it always does. You're going to get all of these warnings and this and that. They are aware of that. It doesn't affect how it works at all. It's just kind of something with the script, and they're like, hey, it worked, so you know, just leave it alone. So what we're going to do, Alt Enter should blow it back up to 1920 by 1080. Again, you're going to see that again. Now here's the neat thing with SweetFX. You could Alt Tab, go back into the folder, and kind of adjust whatever you want. You could adjust all those settings that you saw with the 0s and 1s, save it, and it'll immediately affect here. And also, you could see with TriDef, well, not with TriDef, with SweetFX, you could turn off and turn on your effects whenever you want to by hitting screen lock on your keyboard. So that's what TriDef looks like normally. And you can see how everything's kind of squished, really long. And then you hit screen lock again. There we go. You can go back and forth as many times as you want. Now you can see how we see our full menu here, but when you hit screen lock, you kind of lose some of that menu. And that is the downside to this resolution. I haven't really found a fix to that yet. I'm going to go to options, let's go to graphics, and let's go to benchmark mode. And let's run benchmark. Okay. So I haven't noticed too much of an impact as far as, you know, just doing normal tri-def and using the SweetFX. I mean, maybe a 1 to 2 frame difference. Really isn't much of anything at all, which is really neat to see. Now you see how the vehicle looks very proportioned the way it should. The track looks just as wide as it should. You can see my co-driver's callouts circle, and everything looks just the way it should. Now if I hit screen lock, see how everything's real thin? I mean, you could see more, but everything is real thin, real narrow. And unfortunately, if you play it like this is the issue I'm having with iRacing. I could play iRacing and have it look like this. Although the tracks just look really thin. So when you're going into a turn 2 or even 3 wide, it just seems like there's no room to go anywhere, and it's really hard to judge passing anybody with the track looking like this. So I can't figure out how to get that to work, because unfortunately in iRacing the shaders only work in the 64-bit version, whereas tri-def only works in the 32-bit version. So kind of having that conflict there. You can see, again, going back and forth here. And the cockpit view is the real telling view here, and I can't wait till it goes in. Should be any second. There we go. So this is, of course, our SweetFX lens distortion here, and you can see the gauges, everything is circular. And look with tri-def. That's tri-def by itself, and that's with the lens distortion. Really makes a big difference. Now, as this is going, I am going to tell you, the OSVR comes with an IR camera, and IR is built into it for motion tracking. If you use the demos that come with OSVR, as far as, you know, on their website, you could install and run the demos. Let's see here. Not that great, and it's probably because I have OBX running right now. More than likely that's what it is that's causing my FPS to be kind of, but I have everything maxed out graphically, so, you know, if I turn back some of the MSAA settings and stuff like that, I'm sure we could get quite a bit more FPS. But yeah, as I was saying about the motion tracking right now isn't really working except for the demos that you could use. And the motion tracking is not working as far as the IR version of it. It's working as far as because there's gyroscopes inside that, much like your cell phone, will tell the system where it's positioned in space, and, you know, as far as looking, but you don't get all your axes. You get rotation, you get up and down, but you can't, you know, go in and out. I think that's a Z-axis you don't get. So that's where the IR cameras would come in, but that doesn't work. And in game here, using this method here, I have heard of quite a few people getting the motion working using software called FreePie. I haven't had luck with it just yet. I'm still investigating that. But besides that, then there would be no motion. But I've been using my Track IR5. That's kind of been an easy plug-and-play solution to get some motion with my lens reflectors. But you could also use Face Track No IR, which is another option. Either make your own Track IR setup, or you could, there's other options where you could print off a pattern on a piece of paper and kind of tape it to the front of the actual device itself, and with a webcam it'll kind of track that. So, you know, there's options out there that are both free and not free for different things, and this is all until we get the software going. I spoke to Vortex, which has been the go-to company for Oculus DK2 people, so that way they could have like almost native support for a lot of the titles that don't have any support whatsoever, like iRacing. And they are currently working to get OSVR support, and that will be motion and the correct lens distortion and all that. And once they do, then it's going to be pretty much a plug and play. They are currently a partner with OSVR, but until they do that, we're kind of stuck, you know, just piecing together different software to make it work. So we're going to just jump in on the rig. We're going to do a little bit of gameplay. I'm going to give you my thoughts, my opinions, and we're going to wrap up the Dirt Rally version of the OSVR. So here we go. Hope you're having fun. Hope you're still paying attention. And I really hope so far this is helping you out. But let's jump in the rig and let's get some laps in.